Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are about an hour after market close on Wednesday, September 1st. I wanted to share my momentum trades for the day. Now, when I say trades, I had taken them as potential day trades. I did have a few that played out as day trades that I maybe got back in on. But these I'm actually holding overnight, which is a very, very risky move. I could definitely have these go wildly against me. But I want to sort of take you through the daily chart and talk about what I saw on the daily chart that made me take the position in the first place, and then what I saw playing out that caused me to hold it. And on at least one of these, it may just be that I got caught up with something else and missed my timing. But anyway, start with WPG. So WPG coming in nice and strong today at about, 10:15 or so in the morning. Let me get rid of this. MACD is bothering me because we don't need it. Just paying attention to the VWAP here and the volume. Now volume started to pick up about that time. We saw it breach the VWAP and make a nice run up. Lost it here, but then volume very quickly came back and it reclaimed the VWAP and then had this nice run up. Now my intention at that point was to set a stop loss at $1.90. I thought it had more room to run, and so I actually missed it and I didn't catch it. I was just doing other things. Didn't catch it until it was in this zone. And so this is why I predominantly swing trade, because I don't do well sitting there and watching the minute tick by tick by tick by tick. And so what ended up happening was I was watching it hold through the early afternoon near the VWAP and then coming back down. Now I had this $1.65 set as my area that I would look to potentially stop loss if it couldn't hold that area. And what we see that it did at that point was to go ahead and bounce pretty nicely off of there and stay relatively within range of the VWAP, basically giving me some confidence that it was holding strong enough. The volume didn't ever pick back up, which was the most unfortunate part to me. That didn't give it an opportunity to run at all. But this is why I'm seeing if there's potentially a day two coming up. If we zoom out to the 5-day here, we see this started a little bit yesterday, right? And so today was a continuation of that. Today's certainly a bit of an uglier day to the extent of a retracement anyway, certainly not pump wise. Pumped a lot more today, and volume between yesterday and today much more significantly high. So I'm willing to see if there's a day three involved here or not, but we'll find out soon enough. XELA, now this one can get rid of this, is fine. XELA, I've been in and out of since yesterday, I guess is a better way to put it. Yesterday it had this big pump up, and then today it continued to struggle with this topping out range that it put in yesterday. So this is just a very clear drawback to what we saw yesterday, right? It's obviously struggling with this topping out zone. I thought I had selected an extension there. Let me put in a horizontal line so that I have this for tomorrow anyway. But here's where it tends to struggle, obviously. So I'm wondering if we get a push up here tomorrow. Obviously, you see how it ended the day very strong. If we have potentially exhausted the selling pressure that it's been encountering at $2.68 or not. But if so, that could be a good breakout range for sure. And from a bottom trend line perspective, it's been doing a good job holding this so far. So be interested to see if it can maintain that as we get into the day tomorrow. But that's what I'm looking for on XELA. For ZEV, I've also been in this for a few days. Let me get rid of all this garbage that we don't need. Now, these two zones down here that I've been focused on, 897 down to 881, these were basically some support zones that I had identified that I was looking for it to hold, obviously, and it did a good job of that later in the day. Obviously, it's not making the moves that I would like it to. I'm hoping that it can come back to retest this like $10 range, but obviously today coming down quite a bit and certainly not having the influx of volume like we saw yesterday, obviously yesterday being driven by the news catalyst, but still doing a really good job holding strong at this level and developing consistent price action again above the VWAP as the day went on. So I'm hoping that there's more left in the tank for ZEV, but don't know. Now SQBG I jumped in and out of a couple of times today. Let's zoom in and I'll sort of point out. So here we had this taking of the VWAP and then a retest and then a jump up. And my first look at it was when it was looking like it wanted to wedge out here, and it did so pretty quickly. I mean, it was starting to get into a confined space, but had a nice jump out and then just formed another wedge, the one that you see in yellow. And that's where it had that second breakout and jumped up to its intraday high, I guess, of 946, and then came down, test the VWAP, and this is where I was trying to make a decision of coming back into this or not, and I did end up coming back in, and now I'm holding it overnight. So we'll see how that goes. It's a really big run up to hold overnight, but the market has been so willing to take on risk this week that it's been kind of interesting to see, and I thought it would be worth the chance at this point. And I'm not so worried about what happens in the aftermarket as long as it's not something super aggressive, meaning like a big move downward. I'm mostly looking to see what happens in the pre-market, because I think a lot of what happens here in the after hours can just be wiped out pretty quickly and significantly in the pre-market. So I know this doesn't look great at the moment, but I'm not super worried about it for the time being. Plus, if it continues to hold this trend line, this is what I was looking at later in the day, and it held it there. That was kind of my decision point, and moved up closer to the VWAP, and end of the day, kind of, I don't want to say strong because that's not the strongest move, but it definitely seemed to call the bearish momentum that was driving the price down really rapidly here. Now, whether or not that bleeds into tomorrow, I have no idea. Like I said, this is a big update today, so it's a lot to ask for it to continue on, but that was sort of like what drove me into that decision. Now, BCTX I didn't jump into today. I had taken this a day or two ago, and at that point, I was watching it from day to day today. It was just sort of stair-stepping it up with the VWAP. And today it cut that momentum for the first time, but the volume's still holding relatively solid. If we look at the daily volume here, this is just so that I can grab this daily volume. Yeah, you see the stair stepping up here, but today we clocked in 3.1 million. Yesterday was 3.4. The day before that was 1.3 and 1.5 and 1. So today's volume nearly on pace with the largest volume day in there. So to me, that there could be something left in the tank. I'm not sure. It's obviously getting itself on the daily into an area of possible breakout here if it wants to get out of this overall range that it's been in. If we think about it being, I don't know what, about in this area, right? And so that upper range being right in line with where it is, this wick here, taking in these bodies also. And if it can breach this and actually not just, throw a hand up, aka throw a wick up above the upper side of the range, then there might be some significant buying that ensues after that. I don't know. I've also been looking for a potential strong news catalyst here. That's also what I thought might be happening, but haven't seen anything that's really like groundbreaking yet, that's for sure. Last two, BBIG coming in today, and this one also coming down quite a bit aftermarket, but let me pull it back out here to the 1 day. So BBIG started off really strong and then was just holding nicely on the VWAP. Now it re-entered this channel, was actually from yesterday that I was watching, and it just happened to fall back in to it today, but I still left it on the chart. When it came back down, what I was looking for to make my decision toward the end of the day was it going to hold this upper trend line? And it did, and so that's why I decided to continue to hold it through. Now we see in the aftermarket it's fallen through, and this is sort of the situation where I hope that we don't have anything super catastrophic here happen in the after hours so that I can let the pre-market do its work. Now, do its work could mean that it just pummels the stock in the pre-market, of course, but it could also mean that we see a pretty solid run up in the pre-market or at open. So that's just, again, the volatility and the risk that I'm taking on these stocks, and I know that. This 855 zone is obviously something that I hope holds up, period, but especially here in the after hours as we see volume kind of picking up here at the moment. We'll see what happens. Last one, CEI. So I jumped into this one pretty late in the game today, but I saw this obviously big jump in volume, big run up over the VWAP after having just chopped around it all day today. So potentially taking out a bunch of buys and sell orders that were just placed around that area, and then deciding to make its big move here at about 1:45, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then it just held really, really strong and was going really strong into close, making a bunch of higher lows into close. So that's what I'm looking at for the time being. Now, again, will this carry through to tomorrow? It was a pretty big update today. I don't know, but again, risky position, risk to reward. Take it into consideration. Some days I just feel very risk averse. Some days I feel very much like taking on risk. I think that the market in and of itself does that as well, like at a macro level. And today was just one of those days where I was like, there's a lot of interesting plays happening right now. I'm going to take on the risk, and I know that it could certainly turn against me and bite me in the butts and put me in a hole that I'll have to crawl back from, but so it goes. All of these are learning lessons along the way. But that's what I got into today, and just wanted to share. So, happy hump day. I hope your trading week is going well. I thought it was Tuesday all day, so surprise, surprise, it's Wednesday. But yeah, what was I saying? So, hope your trading week is going well, and I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.